We're live.
Hey guys, welcome to the Opinionated Podcast, your favorite sex, love, and relationship podcast. And we are your hosts.
I'm Cool Kev.
I'm Dash.
And I'm Big Dre. And today we're going to have a conversation. I'm going to let Kev explain in a little bit, but um, due to the passing of one of our favorite artists from when we were a kid, we're going to really get into our relationships with those who are affected by drug addiction. But we're not going to necessarily talk about DMX's situation because we don't know and we want to respect him and everything that's going on. But we're going to go into just talking about dealing with different people in our lives with certain drug addictions and that sickness that goes on. But we want to take a moment and celebrate DMX's life first.
Exactly. So, like I said, DMX meant a lot to everybody. If you was around, if you can remember that hip hop scene back in 98, if you remember everything that was going down in 98, you definitely remember DMX. That when he came onto the scene, he was a different artist.
Completely different, whole
Word.
different vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing you ever heard before. You like, why is this nigga barking? This nigga growling. He got all these dogs. The whole Rough Rider movement was starting. The bikes with the, it was just crazy. It was nothing we seen before. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think around that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to kind of chime in on exactly what you were saying. We never seen nothing like it. I was a kid. I was in 7th grade, and hearing for me, I know other people will say, "Oh no, I heard of him then." I heard him first on 4321 is when I recognized him. So I know we told that story before on here, and yeah, that's when I first heard it. It was he was the newest to me. He was the newest kid on the block, and I thought like, wow, this nigga's really spitting some shit. Didn't hear what he was saying. Didn't really realize. I just liked the song. It wasn't until later on when I realized that
Like this dude.
when I realized he was talking about robbing and killing people on that song, and I loved it more because it was like, yo, I didn't even notice he was talking about that, but it was awesome. So that's when I first heard of DMX. I'll let Kev get to his story as well.
The first time I heard X, I think the first time I want to say I heard X, I think it was the Money, Power, and Respect joint. This dude came on at the end of the verse, and you see this guy with these goggles.
Ooh, it might have been that. I'm sorry. It might have been that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
On the balcony. I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this nigga with the on the balcony rapping? Nigga killing this shit.
Mm.
I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Nigga got goggles on his head. I'm like, yo, this nigga crazy. I think I went and bought goggles like that following week. I had to go get my goggles, man. Yo, bro, you can't say you ain't have no goggles. You lying in front of you ain't say you ain't have no DMX.
I wanted some, but I ain't getting none. That's when the niggas had the Oakley joints, man. I wanted some, but I don't think I got none.
On the corner store bootleg joints?
Nah, it was different.
Yeah,
I wanted them though.
yeah.
You wanted goggles and a bubble coat.
I had the corner store. I went to the corner store.
I mean, I've seen people wearing them, and I was like, damn, man, these niggas got the motherfucking DMX
To the side.
goggles. These niggas are
to the side.
yeah, to the side. You know what I'm
have
saying?
them
With
shit
the
straight.
stocking cap on.
Yeah.
The first time I heard DMX, I was in Pleasantville. I was on Main Street, coming down Main Street, and I'm pretty sure it was Get At Me, Dog. And I was like, oh shit, they was playing that shit on the radio. I was like, yo, what is this? These niggas is barking? Straight up.
That's
These
what it
niggas
was
is
for everybody.
barking on the
Niggas
fucking
barking.
radio? And it was what it signified. You know what I'm saying? Like he was talking to niggas in the hood and just people who was going through shit that, you know what I'm saying, certain people was going through at the time, and the shit just was attractive. Like who is this nigga out here with this fucking raspy dark voice out here snapping on these fucking bars, and then when he get done with the bars, he barking at you. You want to know who this nigga is that's barking on the damn radio, and they're allowing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when as soon as I seen the first video, which was Money, Power, and Respect,
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Everybody,
saying?
I think everybody
As
seen
soon
it,
as
but
I seen him, I'm like, oh, this nigga is insane. He is nuts. He is crazy, but he's fire.
He's
And
fired.
and not only from that point on, bro, I was hooked, bro. I was hooked. He was dropping shit. Yo, 4-3-2-1. When when LL dropped 4-3-2-1, and he was on that shit.
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was bananas, bro.
Don't
But
stay out after dark.
yeah,
Because if I catch you when the sun is down, I said this before on this podcast, so I'm not going to do it again.
go ahead, just say
Go
your
ahead,
verse.
man.
Say
This is a
everybody.
tribute.
That
That's
ain't
a
my
tribute
favorite
to him
verse,
right
though.
there, you know what I mean? It ain't my favorite verse.
Yeah.
But back then he was coming so different. You know what I'm saying? And you was like, oh shit, I felt like he was talking to everybody on that track. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, nah, all of y'all.
That's what I took it as when I was a kid, that he was talking to everybody on that track
Yeah.
until I listened when I was an adult. He's talking about his nights robbing people, which if you listen to all of his songs back then on that first album, he's
Yeah.
talking about robbing people the
Like,
whole time.
I'm listening to X is Coming For You. Like, if they played that song now, try to pass up, like his shit would get banned by cancel culture. You don't remember the one verse he had on there.
Nigga love
If you had a 16-year-old daughter, that verse.
Oh shit.
Older than no, yeah. If you got an older than 15, I'm a raper. Take her on the living room floor, like they're in front of you, and ask you seriously what you want to do. Nigga, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna murder you,
But I'm gonna kill you.
dog.
I said,
Yes,
"Fuck, just a little while longer, will you?" Like you would
dog.
be, it shit would be canceled.
I got blood on my hands and there's no remorse. I got blood on my dick because I fucked the corpse.
I'm a
What?
nasty nigga.
What
When you
the
pass
fuck?
me, nigga, look me in my eyes, tell me in my fucking face that you ready to die. What?
Yeah.
Red motherfucker. Don't
Don't be stupid. You heard what I said,
motherfucker.
Come on, bro. This nigga was really talking some crazy. It was grimy. And us as kids, me as a kid, hearing that, I'm whatever frustration I had, I didn't know how to voice. I'm going to rap DMX lyrics because I can rap in that frustration. Like it's a different way that you rap when you listen to it. No, I can't let my mom know I'm listening to this shit. But when I bought the tape, I had the tape. There was the first tape I bought with my own money, cassette. And I remember my dad seeing me and saying, "Yo, you got that new what's that nigga name? He be barking." I said, you talking about DMX? You got that joint? I said, yeah.
What's
He was like, yo,
crazy
you gotta let me borrow that.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter if you were old or young. Everybody was attracted to DMX.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My parents loved DMX.
My
I
mom.
loved DMX. And we all knew that the nigga was insane. We all knew the nigga was nuts. But what the nigga
Respectfully.
could do, I mean, he crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy that you love, like you know what I'm saying? From all the stories that you hear from him, yeah, I mean, him being a person, if he loved you, he loved you. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's how it is for most people. If they fuck with you, they gonna show the utmost love for you. But you know what I'm saying? That nigga has some crazy ways to him. You know what I mean? And what he could bring to the music was just magic. You know what I'm saying? It just was a whole different type of vibe, especially back then. And the shit was just he just brought greatness. You know what I mean? He dropped 2 platinum albums in the same year, didn't he?
Yeah, he dropped one. My mom.
Yep.
My brother had Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of No, my brother had As Dark as Hell is Hot, my brother K. And for Christmas, my other brother KB asked for Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. I tried to steal this nigga CD because I wanted it so bad. Dog, we just sat in there for hours, played the first joint, and then played the second one. Like I just listened to. I just was like, you know what? Everybody had the tribute going on the radio. I just couldn't do the edited shit. Nobody. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna stream this shit again. I just put on I put on As Dark as Hell is Hot. I didn't have to turn it. I just let that shit rock through. I put Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. Like, damn, I let this shit rock. It's 2 CDs that I just let rock through right now from beginning to end. Like, yeah, and it's real. Like,
This is our era.
Josh,
This is
he
our
said,
era.
Josh says I felt this more than Pac and Big for real because this is our. I think this is our Pac and Big. I remember when Pac died.
We
Not the
were
girl
we
said,
were we were children, bro. Like we were
nah,
still
I was in
what 13. We was teenagers, young
my
teenagers.
mom.
Yeah.
I was only 13 when Pac died.
My mom came in the house crying because Tupac died.
Mm.
That's how hurt. My mom loved Tupac. She was so hurt when Tupac died. Dog, when X died, I felt I'm looking like because I kept seeing everybody. I'm like, yo, this shit can't be real. Like this shit fake. Cause niggas kept saying X was dying, and the shit.
Yeah, I didn't believe it at first.
Ain't nobody want to believe it. And then when I seen on Power 99, I said, yo, X is
Nah.
gone. Like, yo, we lost our guy, and how we lost our guy, because I don't know what the reports are true or not, but X been always battling demons. He
Yeah.
spoke on it a lot.
Everybody even says it now. Yep.
He said himself, like, in the whole situation, everybody knew he had, like, because this is our topic today. We want to talk about drug addiction. He had a drug addiction, but it wasn't his own doing. His homie he was smoking with put
some shit.
put the shit in the
A
cigarette.
old head.
Old head. I think they call them woos. You know what
Woo
I'm saying?
bangers.
Woo, yeah. You smoke like niggas used to smoke that shit back in it because back then nobody knew what crack was. You know what I'm saying? Niggas at the time, crack was something cheaper that you can get because at the time cocaine was in, and cocaine was just a high rich end drug that you couldn't get your hands on. But people found out crack was made with cocaine, but it was cheaper, so you could think you partying
More potent.
more potent, but you think you partying and turning up with this shit, getting high off this shit, not knowing you don't know the ramification of any drug, and you just pop this shit just because you wanted to live in that party life.
Yeah.
So, but that's what we getting at today, dog. Like we just want to show X some love and give him his flowers, but we also want to speak on today about the demons of drug addiction. And because all of us, we all around the same age, and we grew up in the 90s, and the 90s was like,
Yeah.
That was probably one of the greatest eras in hip hop.
streamed it.
You know what I mean? That
I shared
period.
it.
I mean, it's probably the greatest era of hip hop. And
For me, yeah.
yeah, we gotta give credit where credit is due, especially for DMX, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna give him his flowers, rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it. And let's talk about drug addiction and battling it with the people that you love most.
Damn, I wanted to keep talking about DMX for a little bit, but it's all good. It's all good.
We can come back to him.
Yeah, no, we come back. Aside from DMX, so we want to make this completely separate. We have no idea what actually happened. I mean, we know the reports, but we don't know exactly what happened. So to me, this just, or to us, this just kind of sparked a real conversation about your relationships with relatives or friends or friend of a friend or a relative of a friend or whatever, with any addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, anything that could be harmful to them, and how you can try your best to help or to become of service, but it's ultimately not up to you. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to get into.
Well,
Okay.
like I said, all of us here, we around the same age. We all grew up in the 90s, man.
Speak for yourself.
Nigga, you grew up in the 90s. And at the 90s, in the time, it was this thing that came out. Everybody, well, in the 80s, it came out. It was crack. But by the time we was kids, it had hit where you lived that hard. I know it hit my neighborhood hard. It affected a lot of people that I loved and I care about. And at the time, the government, police, everybody's trying to make it seem like these people that were on crack were lower than low. They were the scourge of society. They didn't try to give them help. They thought they should be locked up. They made all types of shit. These people, the crack babies are being born because people are taking this drug. They're selling their kids. Like, not saying this shit as a sickness, how they see heroin now.
Opioids and
Yeah, because opioids, you know what it is?
Heroin.
It's a fucked up thing to say, but it's facts. When if anything that affects black people, because we've been here, how we got brought here, we not looked upon as human. We looked upon as some fucking lower than life species. So when it affects us, oh, these savages is getting high off this shit called crack. Let's lock them up because they're doing these god awful things and not realizing people is struggling. Nobody wants, when people smoke crack for the first time. Like I said, they thought it was a alternative for cocaine, which they seen as a party drug, which was for high people. They seen as, I'm going to turn up on this shit, not knowing this shit is going to turn into a sickness that these people need help. And the government, everybody abandoned them. They told us, remember the Don't Say No Jones in school? We used to have say no to drugs. I remember being in I was in the fucking, when was Reagan the president? I remember being in there. Reagan, they put Reagan on our TV.
Was that around 95?
Nah, that Bush was in. But I remember
Sure?
them put Reagan administration.
I thought Bush did one term, and that was
I'm talking about Reagan. Was it? No, my bad. It was the Bush. It was a Bush man because it was Bush that started.
I think it started with
Bush
Reagan,
did the
and then
war on
it
drugs,
kept
right?
going.
Yeah.
Who did-
no
Bush started-
Reagan did the
It
war.
started
on
with
drugs.
Reagan, and then it.
But I remember them bringing the TV in our classroom, and we had to watch his wife talk about the whole drug thing and crack, and it made it seem bad. But at the time, I was living in the neighborhood that was going through this whole crack epidemic, and I'm seeing it firsthand. There's a lot of shit that you seen going on firsthand. And I'm like, man, this person can't be bad, and that person can't be. They good people. Like, from what I know, they're good people.
To kind of piggyback off that, I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch it, but there is a documentary that's on Netflix that's called Crack.
Yeah, I watched it.
So watching that shit
Really?
is
I haven't
an
watched
eye
it.
opener. You know what I'm saying? Like, to shit that we kind of already knew, but the visuals that got put to the stories that we hear from being kids is just like, wow, that's crazy, because you can see how the crack epidemic started, and they called it an epidemic, but in reality it's like, how did this come into United States? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they kind of showed a conspiracy about how the government brought it in and pretty much show people how to do this, that, and the third, for it to spread the way it spread. But at the beginning, there was nothing ever done about it. You know what I mean? For years, they let people hustle crack on the corners and wouldn't even come. They said the police would ride by while they were hustling, and they knew that they was
Bro.
hustling crack, and they were letting this shit ride. And what happened is that at the beginning, the crack epidemic, or what they call the epidemic, was flourishing the neighborhood, because the hustlers was getting money, and they were doing, this, that, and the third, like starting businesses. When they started learning how to put their money from the drug game into businesses, that's when they were like, oh, wait, hold up. We didn't think that they were going to be smart enough to do no shit like that. I mean, you got to look at the big people that are in business, and just in the music industry alone. You know what I mean? Like Trick, you know what I'm saying? Aunt Deb and shit like that. Like, they lived that life and learned how to put the money and invest it into something to change their future. You know what I mean? And people didn't expect that. And that's when shit started, they really started to really crack down on selling drugs and shit like that. And communities is being torn down, and this, that, and the third. And, you know what I mean? Black people getting locked up left and right. And there's drug laws that are passed. You know what I mean? The motherfuckers is getting life for selling drugs. You're getting more for having crack than you are for committing a murder.
Bro,
You know what I mean? And that shit just didn't make sense.
I seen that shit. When I watched that documentary Crack, when I watched that documentary Crack on Netflix, dog, it automatically took me back. It took me back to my childhood, because I seen all that shit. I seen all that shit happening, going down. Even though I lived in a little ass town, like my lunch. I remember being in I remember being in high school, and the lunch lady was getting high. And she came back here. I couldn't afford my free lunch had got taken away. I couldn't afford lunch. I was getting when you run your tab up too high, they start giving you the cheese sandwiches. Shit. I don't know if none of y'all niggas been through that, but you run your tab up too high. Yeah, you run your tab up, you don't pay your shit.
Yeah, or if you haven't paid your shit for the week, they would give you like the basic lunch would be like the cheapest shit they can give you. Maybe a peanut butter jelly sandwich or cheese sandwich. You wouldn't get the premium.
Yeah,
bro. But listen, so
freebies.
I was getting cheese. I was on the cheese sandwich shit. I couldn't afford nothing. So
I ain't eat that shit.
I caught the lunch lady one time back here getting high.
My cousin
was serving her, and I went to the car and I seen her and I looked her in her face.
Chicken fingers for life, bitch.
Bro,
I'm sorry.
The next day. But listen, the next day I went in because I know you had to. They could only give you had to pick the cheese sandwich. I picked up the most expensive shit I can find in the whole line. I got to her. I only went to her line after this. I got to her. And I say, yo, you know such and such? She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I know them. Hey, I seen you the other day. I know what car you drive.
Kev was an extortionist.
Yo, I could lose. She's like, I could lose my job. I said, yo, I don't care.
You knew that.
Like,
Kev was an extortionist.
I said this good.
Chicken fingers at a young age, bro.
I said this good.
Yo, let me get the burger extra cheese.
Yo, bro,
extra fries.
No, take the cheese off the sandwich you was gonna give me and put that shit on my burger.
Nah, I had that shit on my bro. I had cheese, fries.
Give me your sandwich.
I had everything, bro. I loaded my shit down. Everything I could get out of that line. But I knew she was getting high. So I said, yo, this is free, right? Yeah, you good? Bet. I'll be back tomorrow.
Kev,
Bet.
I'll be back. Hey, Kev,
tomorrow.
You don't come out as good as you think you do in that story,
right?
You piece of garbage.
Bro, but I knew she was getting high. and
you extorted her for her job.
I had no money.
All but chicken fingers.
Bro, I had no money to get. I had no money to get.
Kev, do you remember what you ate?
Nigga, I had like cheese, fries,
I'm talking about that one day when you found out the very first time you went to her line, that very first meal that you got from her. Do you remember what it was?
Dog, I tell you exactly. I'm telling you what I got. I got a cheeseburger. You remember they used to have fries? You get the fries. I told the lunch lady that was making my plate, yo, put cheese on the fries.
Go ahead.
I think I got the juice. You had the juice. You only could get the milk, the white milk. I got
in the bag
milk and the juice. I put all that shit on my plate.
Hey, Kev, you had the bag of milk?
Nah, we didn't have bag milk. That's Philly shit.
Oh, all right. Yeah, they gave us the bags of milk.
We had the little cartons.
Little colored cartons.
But
I think we had some of them too. I think what Kev is trying to say though is that when you are addicted to drugs, you could be put in compromising positions.
She couldn't break. No fault to her own. I was a kid.
I just took
I took advantage of this. I took advantage of the situation. Yeah, I did.
What I get out of the conversation is, don't let Kev catch you slipping.
I took advantage of the situation because I knew she was getting high. I knew you was coming. At the time when I grew up, white people wasn't in my neighborhood. Wasn't coming to my neighborhood. It was no cops. It was no cops back here. Like we can be out as. I remember when they were selling drugs so bad. Like I seen the cops. The cops used to park up and sit their cop car on the court. They used to put their police car on the court, so nobody would go up there and hustle. But this how out of pocket it was getting in where I was living at. I remember I had a laser pointer. So the cop was sitting on the court. I wanted to play basketball on the court, so I took my laser pointer. You know, if anybody knows anything about laser pointer, you point it at the ground, and you could, if you guide the laser up like this, you can follow the little dot. You can see the dot far as shit. I put the dot inside the police car, and like got as close as I can get to the cop chest, and waved it around. The nigga threw his sirens on. They bounced. They never came back the rest of the night. I had the basketball court to myself. But that's how bad. That's how bad the drugs was getting in my neighborhood. That you can just they let you do whatever you want, and you seen people that you knew who was family, friends.
This nigga can't pretend to be a sniper on the damn.
For real.
Yeah.
You were a hardened criminal.
Shit.
Yeah. I was a kid. I was a kid growing up in a neighborhood like
horrible tendencies.
When you grew up in a neighborhood, that was back then was overrun by drugs, like people. That's why I say it's a sickness because people just
It is.
abandoned their kid. They abandoned their kids. Their kids ran wild. You could do whatever you want. You know what I mean? It was up. Some people, their dads was getting high using a single parent home. You can just roam whatever because your mother was working all the time. You did whatever you want, and the government never took time in the crack era to say, "Yo, how can we fix this problem?" They just let us. They
Damn.
just let us be. They let us do whatever we want, and they
They had a
say
hand in it.
they
Huh,
say
yeah.
they say thing. Yeah, they say thing about these crack babies. It wasn't so much the crack babies with the kids that was being groomed that was ready to come out of that era. Like you had a different look out on life. A lot of these kids now, you had a couple. The choices you had was if you grew up and your parents was getting high, is that either you was mad at it, so you did better than them, so you can escape the situation. You probably abandoned your parents. You or you turned to it because you thought it was a party. You thought it was what they were doing were fun as a party. And you turned to drugs, and you think that's how you're supposed to live your life. Listen,
think it's,
every day, huh?
I think it's a little bit. I think it's a little bit more layered than that. But I follow
Can
where you're
be.
going.
Listen,
It can be. I think I mean, there's different steps that people take, and people get affected differently. Some people do it for different reasons. I feel like that can be one of many.
I've seen niggas do it just because it was their lineage, because it was
They
something
see
cool to
they seen it.
do.
They see it being done in a family. You know what I'm saying? Some
yeah,
Hmm.
people feel
that's what I
like,
said. They see,
some people just are, depressed. They looking for
Paying
a way out.
bills.
You know what I'm saying? Mentality is a little fucked up. You know what I mean? Some people take it for the first time, and they just feel like they get away. Everybody has their own reason of doing something. It may not necessarily just be just that. It could be the combination of
yeah, but
all.
I'm talking about
You
Right.
know,
I'm talking about the kids that came from the like I'm speaking. I'm gonna speak on. I'm gonna try to break. I want to break this shit down to eras, like the crack era. Dog, it ruined our community. Like every single neighborhood that had like a huge like where I live had a huge crack problem or a huge crack like crack selling was going deep in that neighborhood.
Right.
All them
Addiction was running rampant.
right, yeah. All them areas now is gentrified, as you call it. They call it gentrified, mixing black and white. They tore the neighborhood down to the point where it wasn't worth nothing. And as you got older, you didn't want to be reminded of that shit if you lived there. You didn't want to be like, man, I remember such and such was high as shit laying in the bushes over here. Like the first time I experienced murder as a kid, this is the first time I ever seen my mother cry. This is the very first time I seen my mother cry. I had to be about hmm, only me and KB was around. So this is '89. So I had to be about like 6 years old. The first time I ever seen my mother cry, her best friend got stabbed to death. And later find out he got stabbed to death because him and another dude was getting high and he had smoked the last crack rock. So he stabbed him to death with a screwdriver. That was the first that's the first time I experienced death. I see my mother crying in the car. I'm sitting in the back seat. My mom is in full blown tears, riding away because her best friend had just got killed over this drug. He got stabbed. It made one of my cousins go crazy because he seen it, but he was so scared to do anything about it. That's the first time I ever experienced death or knew what death was about. Like my mom saying they killed him, and I'm like, what the hell is killed with it? You know, somebody dies, he killed. This make my mom sad. I never had love for drugs because of that. That's why I really never people. Oh, why you don't? You know what I mean? Do drugs, but we get into that. We ain't gonna get into that. But niggas like, why you don't do that shit? I'm like, yo, you understand this shit made my mother cry. Like I seen my mother cry because her best friend got stabbed to death because over crack.
that's a weird question to ask somebody. Yo, why you don't do crack, yo?
Nah, why you don't do
Hey.
drugs? Because like I said, it made my mother cry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's
That's
not
a fun.
funny to hear, but it's funny
Yeah.
to hear in the same thing. Like, yo, kid, how come you don't do
Nah,
crack?
how could I do drugs? I'll do crack. I ain't gonna never do crack, but I thought this shit was bad. I thought it was terrible
Oh
because
my god.
that's the first time I ever seen I never seen my mother
That's a
cry.
heartfelt story.
Now, yeah, I never seen my mother cry or get sad or anything up until that point. But I was only 6 years old, and my mother cried in that car because her best friend got stabbed to death somebody somebody smoked the last crack rock. It was over crack. He got stabbed to death.
And that addiction to that thing drove that man crazy to the point where he was willing to murder somebody for that. And that's what we mean by like, and that affected your mother. That's the relationship, the connection that you had as far as like your experience with drug and addiction. You know what I'm saying? But either one of y'all, if y'all ever had anybody close to y'all, or anything you could share about like somebody really struggling with addiction for years and years.
I I got people. I don't want to name. I
We don't name anybody.
We don't name anybody, but I got family, and it hurt me because the person was a good person and probably did the drugs to be at something fun, and it took a lot from that person's life because they chased that. They chased
that
it.
feeling.
That feeling. And at the time, it was still something new. So there was no, this is the thing that kills me about crack. There was no, how they got it now for people who do heroin. They don't got no facilities or treatments or saying, hey, go here if you got a crack addiction. Go to this rehab center, get you off drugs. We're not going to lock you up. We're going to send you to a rehab center to help you. Like this person didn't want to do drugs. They didn't want to smoke crack. Nobody says they wake up and say, I want to do crack. If you hear anybody ever talk about crack, they tell you the same thing. Like, I wish I never done it. Like, I don't want to do it, but if I don't do it, my body will hurt. I'll be in so much pain. I have to
That's a part of it. That's a part of it. That's a part of a peep. There's not to cut you off. That's a part of that. That's a part of anything too. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy at all. I've seen relatives or friends and stuff like that. Like, yo, even with weed, and it's not because of just the drug. It's because if your body is basically running off that shit, if you take it away, it's and I've seen this with caffeine. You take it away, your body has to severely shift, which could cause like severe sickness and things like that. And that's a real thing. Now, I'm not saying it's easy to get through, but I've seen people get through it. The problem is when they get through it, get it out of their system, it's going straight and narrow, and that one thing turns them back to it. Because that's why it's a sickness. Now, people who aren't empathetic, or I was saying empathetic towards that situation, will say, oh man, they could put that shit down anytime they want, man. They just selfish. They just, nah, man, they really get into that shit and get deep into it to the point where it's like it's a mental thing. It's mentally, it's physically, it's everything to them.
Yeah, but how they played crack off to us, they made you not have empathy for the people because they try to demonize them so much. As a kid, you can see you felt bad for these people that were getting high if somebody you love, because you like, man, like that's not you. That's not you. Like when you not high, you smiles, you happy, but you can see when when it's time for you to get high, you get jittery, you upset, you figure you'll do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You'll do anything to get to it. And it's
leave
like,
your kids in the house.
Leave your kids in the house. Listen, man, I heard a story one time. A person told me a story that I'm close to. And this is facts. A lady sold her kids to the drug dealers down the street so she can get high. Sold her kids. Sold her son.
Fuck that nigga do with the kids.
Bro, what you think they do to a kid? They make the little boy hustle. They got a little girl. Hey, what you think they gonna do to the little girl? That's facts.
It's terrible.
Sold the kids. The person family had to go get the kids back, and person wound up doing it again. You know what I'm saying? That's the level. Nobody can say, hey, that's not a sickness. You don't. Who would do
Who
that to
right
kids
in their right mind.
in their right mind? You don't think this person needs help?
They
Right.
definitely need help.
Yes.
Now what they do with the help is that's when it's their fight. What they do with the help. Some people get help. Some people get help over and over and over again. It is a
It's a
constant
battle.
struggle, yo. Struggle, a battle. And it's something that if you ever had anybody close to you, and I can't say that I've had somebody like super close, but like I've seen people have people close to them that got help over and over again and kept falling back into it to the point where you got to just, I ain't going to say disown them, but you have to step all the way back and say, no, you cannot come to my house. No, I am not going to come there to do anything for you. No, you're not, like, because you need to get it together on your own. And me being there is not going to help you anymore. I have to let this go and let you try to find your, either get better or kill yourself.
Bro, legit.
That's hard.
Like I said, legit the crack era. Like I seen the shit so up close and personal. Like it was just real for me. Like it was there. Like it was like a hand in front of your face was there for me. That was I mean, I had some fun times. I had a lot of fun times, but it was a lot of times the shit got dark. You know what I'm saying? Shit
Okay.
got dark, shit got scary. It's just because I'm a kid. I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I seen other people, like I said, family members who was in the mix of this shit, man. In the mix every day. They situation was a a thousand times worse than mine. They was in directly in they was in the eye of the storm. I mean, they was in it.
Right.
And it forced a lot of decisions for people to make, man. A lot of people we was talking about when we was talking to we did the Black Lives versus All Lives Matter. And I said, yo, listen, man, I see my cousins hustling drugs. Oh, why he couldn't mow the lawn? How you gonna mow the lawn if his parents is getting high? Like he gotta do what he gotta do for his brothers and sisters.
How do you mow a lawn if you don't own a
You
lawnmower?
know, or lawnmower.
You know
And
what
you
I'm
know what I'm
saying?
saying? Like
How do you not only that, but has to be a relationship built. You know what I'm saying?
And,
Like you can't just go to people's houses and be like, I'm cutting your lawn and you better pay me. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like the person don't
right.
know you, I'm not letting you on my damn property if I don't know you. Trying to sell some shit. I can mow my own lawn for free.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And who's to say somebody was in his life to teach him that?
And who was to say the nigga even lived in places where people had a lawn?
bro.
You
Correct.
know what I'm saying? What if
Absolutely.
he lived on a city block?
Yeah.
What lawn is gonna cut? You know what I'm
Bro,
saying? Like shit
that's
just
what
isn't
that's
readily available. People don't understand that is that your life isn't another person's life. Just because you were able and you had these abilities to go out and get a job, or you had people who were able to put you in different positions where you can thrive a little bit better than another person, you may have had that because of what another person has done. That person may not have that. They may
Right.
not have people to put them in another position. They may only see people doing drugs. They may only see that hustle on the corner. That might be their only opportunity because he's willing to give them a job. You know what I'm saying? He's willing to put money in their pocket. Maybe they don't want to work for $11 an hour while they breaking their back, getting no respect, while they bringing home $200-300 a week after taxes. They look down the street and they see this dude driving a brand new car, and he outside every day chilling with his homies. That shit is different, you know what I'm saying? Especially back then. You seeing that shit and you grew up to idolize somebody who was actually making moves and you actually see them doing shit for their neighborhoods. Cause back then, drug dealers was actually doing shit for their neighborhoods. You know what I'm
yeah, they
saying?
was.
It was evil and good at the same time.
Them
You know what I
niggas,
mean?
them niggas.
And it's because of it's all about your environment and what's given to you. You know what I'm saying? Like
Bro, I remember he was a hustler in the hood. The nigga took every kid he can find. They had every kid he could find in the neighborhood. He took all of us, loaded us all up in the van. Him and his girl and a few other dudes that was hustling. Loaded us up.
and tricked
Took us
y'all
to
out.
took us to the lake that day. Took us all. Made sure we had food to eat. Took us to the lake to go swimming all day long. Every kid he could find in the neighborhood, we was all squashed up in this van. Like, oh, I'm taking y'all to the lake. Paid for us to get into the lake. Paid for us to eat that day. Made sure we had food, drinks.
Yo, go to
Wild
ASEAN.
out the whole day. Came brought us all back to the hood.
You went to ASEAN?
Went to the lake, bro. Took us to
So
he took
If you
us to Asio Lake,
run a carlo, you pay by the vehicle. That's
but dog,
slide
but
everybody up in there.
but
Come
you
on,
gotta
we out.
understand, he had like 30 kids with him. He had to go get food for all of us.
That's true.
He had to feed all of us. He made sure he fed
But
all of
little
us.
shit like that make you what? You idolize him. You be like, yo, he took us out. He do this for us. He do that for us. And then when they try to speak bad about his name, you're not looking at all that other shit. You looking at all the good that they doing with
Or
the
the,
shit
or
that
the,
they with
see,
the shit that's going on. Especially as a kid, you're not really seeing the aftermath as a child. You know what I mean? All
it,
you seeing is the good shit that come out of it.
yeah, and I know we talking about addiction, but even to touch on something that Kev said earlier about seeing drug dealers as evil, I'm gonna tell you this, especially in my neighborhood, I have not once ever seen them as evil because
That's what I'm saying. That's how they
a
were
lot
depicted.
of right, but a lot of them was our old heads, niggas that we grew up with, and then became like the drug dealer thing wasn't really a thing. They just hustled. So it's like it was one of those things where you just like, nah, that's my man. Like, nigga, we grew up together, or that's his uncle. Like, he been around here for years. He paid for the tournaments up at the playground or whatever. Or they had, they turned the water plug on when it's summertime and shit like that. Like,
or they
you know
stopped
what I'm
the
saying?
they stopped the
Yeah,
Mr.
stop the
Salty
ice
shop.
cream man
Stop the ice
and
cream
get
man.
everybody ice cream. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
it was different. So it's like that's I think that's how you could fall into it. And as far as addiction goes, the people who was, addicted around the way was people who, somebody aunt, somebody's I ain't gonna say grandma, somebody's mom, somebody aunt, somebody uncle. So you know they name when they walk up and get they,
Stuff.
whatever they're getting. Like you know them.
But
And it was just it's different. And it's like it becomes acceptable and you know them as the person like, all right, yeah, she a crackhead or he a crackhead, but whatever.
and that's the
So
foul
at the
term.
barbecues.
That's the foul term we used to get. That's yeah, he a crackhead. That's the term you used to give him, which wasn't even a cool. Now look at that shit. It's not a cool term. It's not. And like it used to fuck me up. Like when you see niggas, comedians, and them making fun of this shit, you be like, man, y'all making fun of this shit, but this is real life for a lot of motherfuckers, man. Like
Yeah.
you depicting shit that's sometimes not fucking. It's not funny. It's not funny at all. I don't find this shit funny. Like I didn't find it funny. The shit drugs did to people I knew that I cared for. How I took them out of my life and shit like that. I didn't find that shit funny. I felt that shit like killed me. Like watching this person, watching them on drugs deteriorate before your eyes. Like you would see him, you would see you can see a dude that was this big muscle bound dude, 280-pound dude. He started getting high, withered down to 100-something-pound clothes baggy on him, running around with sneakers with no socks, holy clothes, looking dirty, and I'm like, man, that's not you.
So to kind of piggyback off of what Dre and you have said combined, like how are the relationships really affected? You know what I'm saying? Like between you and the person that you've
Yeah.
seen selling drugs or hustling and the person that you've seen
Take 'em.
having to deal with them and,
Yeah.
and having to take them and you deal with these
It's
because
hard.
we've all dealt with both of those on a regular basis. You know what I mean? There's somebody that you love that's dealing with drugs, and you like, man, you gotta. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? You watching them throw everything down the drain, and then you got another person who, you know what I'm saying, is out hustling, and you see them thriving. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are those two different? How are those two relationships? You know what I mean? First of all, how do they differ,
You
and how
got
do they
how
affect you?
like how was your like my relationship? You had cousins your age start hustling.
Yes.
Like
A lot of them.
a lot of my experience was we was cool as fucks as kids, cool as fuck. But situations made them had to hustle. So our relationship start like strained. Like I'm still being a kid. Like I still like my mom is like trying to take us away. So I'm still being a kid while this person is forced to become an adult. And you know it's like they're into different shit. They how they move is differently. They ain't as happy as much. They always got the grill on their face. Like
Always outside.
always out.
Always outside. Yeah, we going to the court. We playing ball. He ain't playing ball as much as he was when we was, just a year ago. He ain't at the court with me when we just balling all day. Now he come up there, maybe watch and then leave. Nigga could have went to the league. Like that's how it becomes. Like that's the relationship you have. And then seeing a person that become addicted to drugs, that's a more gradual thing. If you watched it from the start, it's a more gradual thing. Even if you're not close, if it's a friend from school, which we all seen, like it's one of those things where you check in with them. All right, they're doing this, but you check in with them a little, when you see them a couple years later, you know, a little weird, but whatever. Check in with him again. Yo, man, he out there. You don't see him or you don't see her a lot. Yo, they out Camden. They out near. They out near. You know what I'm saying? They out AC. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? Then you start to hear about them rather than see them more often.
yeah,
And then you hear certain things, and then you see them one time and you're scared for them. And you
Yeah.
try to have that conversation with them at the time, but your conversation don't hold no weight. You don't see them every day. You try, and they tell you all they can tell you, and then the next time you hear about them is when they pass away, sadly. And that shit is hard, man. It's hard because you wish that you would have said one thing that could have changed their mind, but the reality is there is nothing that you could have said that would have changed that outcome.
I just seen a nigga that we grew up with. I was in Philly. I was work. This is recently. So this is that we on the opioid and pills. I know the nigga get high. I see the nigga. I'm riding down the street and like how you be in the city. A fiend about to run up and you like, man, I ain't got time for this shit today. You just want to get through the light and go because it's all you see. So the nigga runs up on my car. I'll give him like, man, like waving him by like, Brian, got shit. Go the fuck here. I ain't got shit. Look, it's a nigga I know. Give me, he comes, I open. What the fuck you doing out here? Hit you with, they all of them hit you with the story. Oh man, my girl got me out here. Da da da. Fucked up. I'm like, bro, for real. Like you ain't fucked up. I had my last $10. The nigga looked like he was hungry. I said, man, go get something to eat. Slapped him the 10. Like, yo, go do something. Like, don't go fucking just this. After I gave him that 10, like nigga, like hit the vanish button. Like, damn, dog. Like, you ain't even trying to get nothing to eat with this shit. Like, for real, you out here
He's sick.
running. Yeah,
He's
you
sick.
running. You running to get high before you run to go get something to eat. Like, I know you fucked up. Like, why are you out here? Ain't nobody out this
so,
time of night. Why are you
Well,
here?
same
I
shit
don't think
happened
no
to
one
me.
can answer that.
Motherfucking, I come home. It's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I get out of my car and I hear this nigga call my name. I'm telling him, like, who the fuck is this? I'm like, oh, what's up? Da, da, da. We talking for like 5 minutes. And he like, yeah, yeah, I'm trying to get to the crib, whatever, man. I'm all fucked up, this, that, and the third, man. Like, how can I hold a couple dollars? Give him $10. Like, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you get home. Talking about he coming to the co. I'm like, oh, all right, man. Go ahead, get to the crib. Da da da. So I ain't think nothing of it. You know what I mean? Couple days go by because he starts name dropping like, yeah, I'm trying to go such and such, and they waiting for me this and the third. So I'm like, oh, all right. You know what I'm saying? I ain't think nothing of it. I give him a couple dollars, let him go about his business. Motherfucking couple days go by. I see my nigga I'm talking to. I'm like, yeah, such and such. They was around my way. You know what I mean? They was trying to get the west side. They were talking about they was trying to get there and they got fucked up on the way and this, that, third, ain't no
You
bread.
probably talking about same nigga.
And and they looked at me and they like, tell me you ain't getting this nigga no money, bro. And I'm like, yeah, I gave him $10, nothing crazy. And he like, man, don't give that man no money. He been walking around telling people, using my name, get money from people left and right, talking about he coming to West Side. I ain't seen that nigga in months. I'm like, that's crazy, yo. He like, yeah, man, that nigga fucked up on that shit. I'm like,
Probably
man,
talking
that's
about the same
crazy,
nigga. Nigga with
man.
a ponytail.
Light skin nigga,
Yeah.
tall nigga.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
you talking about same nigga.
I ain't from Camden to Clementon.
He must have got from
He
Philly
out
to
there,
Camden, but
yo,
that's the thing.
just pop up out of nowhere like Batman.
But the nigga that's the thing. Niggas can't shake that shit. Like niggas now, like I see these young boys now, like how this music is geared now. The music. all these niggas talking about popping perks, sipping lean, and all this shit. I'm like, yo, I tell niggas all the time that be popping perks. I say, yo, man, perks lead to dope. When you can't afford, when you can't afford them third purdies, you can't afford three of them shits like you need a night, or you,
Gotta get them third parties.
yeah, them shits is, you can't afford them shits no more. You can't afford $30 a pill no more. You go turn to a 10 pack. You turn to a $10 bag of dope. Once you do that, it's a wrap.
Listen, I'm gonna tell anybody on here that's watching. I don't care if it's months from now, years from now. If you are on pills and you think that you cool just being on pills, it'll come a time. Kevin's exactly right. I done seen it happen when niggas you would not expect it to happen to. It will come a time where you can't afford to buy those pills. Somebody gonna tell you that heroin is the same shit, and you
Mhm.
gonna start shooting that fucking shit up, and your life will be out of control. I done seen it happen. I done begged the nigga, yo man, you need to stop this shit. Stop it. It's nowhere good. You lose your job, you know what I mean? Shit start happening to you. You lose your family. You went from somebody who had it together to somebody who ain't got no control over their life at all. You know what I'm
That's,
saying?
yeah, it's a sad thing, but you see it all the time. Niggas pop perks like it's a cool thing to do. Niggas eat a perk and they be in the corner fucking nodding. Like you ain't even at the party no more. Niggas be thinking they at the party, take a couple perks, think they be on and grooving. Nah, nigga, you in the corner in a chair, stuck, nodding, dope nod, like you dope nodding. You ain't doing nothing. You on, but not the way you think you grooving. You gone.
Mm.
And it's a sad thing because
It
their
looks
body
bad
needs
too.
it.
It looks bad.
Yeah, it looks bad. Their
Yeah.
body need
It
it.
looks bad.
Once it get to a point where you can't, people, most drugs like hardcore drugs is done like when Molly and all that shit came out and all them drugs came out. Niggas is like it's something fun to do. Niggas probably pop perks was the fun thing to do. Now niggas can't do without it. They man, nigga be like I'm sick. Like dog, what you sick from? What happened? Oh man, I'm fucked up right now. Like all right, bro, you good? You need something? Oh man, I gotta get rid of my sickness. I'm like, oh shit. When niggas say
Oh
I'm ready, I gotta
man.
get rid of my sickness, you know what it is. Like, oh, all right, that's what you want right now. Bro, you need to leave that shit. Bro, you need to leave that shit alone.
That ain't gonna work. You can tell them that shit all you want. It's
Yeah.
I think what we're all getting at with this conversation is the best thing you can do, from my opinion, is maybe love that person and give them the space to get better on their own. And the fucked up thing is you have to be okay with if it comes out either way, because that's their choice. That's their now. Let me explain what I mean by that's their choice. Once they know that they have a problem, it becomes their choice, and it becomes a group of decisions that could lead them to one part or the other. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they don't make it out. They don't make it out, and bro, they don't know until it's too late. Like I don't know. Like I said, what happened with DMX, but I knew once they announced that, yo, there's no brain function. I knew, like, I wasn't like, yo, he gonna get out of it. Once I heard that, that's it. I knew that there's nothing after that. You don't come out of no brain function and be like, yo, I'm cool again. You either severely damaged for the rest of your life, you're a vegetable, or you're gonna die. They're gonna pull a plug on you. Because after that, there's nothing. I've seen it. It is not pretty. It is not something that you want to go through. It's not something that you want to put your family through. But you don't know until it's too late, till you get that last hit. And you get that last hit, and it's your last hit.
But some people sometimes, man, and I know this to happen, people will OD on purpose because they don't think they have no other way. People sometimes get high to try to kill themselves because they done lost everything. They done lost their job. They don't got no money. They done lost their family.
Family.
They don't got nowhere to go. It's just them, and the demons is on them, and they saying this fucking thing I can't shake every day is the reason why I'm going through this shit, and it is legit. It is. So they will hope they sometimes they be hoping that they get the wrong, they get that hot shot of that dope where they put in their veins and that kill them. They OD
Mm.
because they like I'm out of my misery. The demon won. I can't fight it no more. And you got some people like you know what? Yo, I can't live like this no more. Like I gotta seek help. Hopefully I come out and I'm never ever ever in my life coming back to this shit again. And like you said, those are the two choices you make, dog. Like you try to kill yourself or you try to get the monkey off your back. And that's a terrible,
It's a terrible thing to watch.
yeah, it is. It's
You can only imagine what a person has to go through.
yeah, yo, the demons they battle, the demons these people battle is severe, and you hoping that somebody's. Sometimes they just want the relationship with somebody. Just tell them like, yo, man, just stop, or or show them love, like, yo, we still care about you, we still want you here. Cause some people once they stop hearing that, they're like, man, fuck it. Nobody cares about me. Nobody want me to be here. Nobody loves me anymore. Nobody can. I lost everything. I'm gonna end it, and they end it the best way they can. You good, Dre? He might mute it up, but yeah, man. So I mean, it's just it's a terrible thing, man. It's a terrible thing with the drugs, bro. Like it just this shit's real, man, and it's just a sad fucking it's a sad fucking thing, man. And like, and anybody, you got family members out there, or friends that you love, you care about. If you know they going through something, they battling something like that, man. Try your best to do whatever you can for them and shit. You know what I'm saying? Do whatever you can from them. You know, take care of them and try to hopefully you can get them out of their situation, man. You know, because they need it. They need that love. They need that. They need that feeling like people still care about them. Don't let them deal with that demon on their own, man. Try to help pray for them, whatever you can. You know what I'm saying?
I think that you can only do but so much, personally. I mean, at the end of the day, of course, you want to try to help a person as much as you possibly can. That's a fact. But you can't. I don't feel as though you should exhaust yourself trying to accommodate for another person who's not willing to do it for themselves. You know what I mean? Like you can't force a person to change. They have to want that and take the steps just as much as you want them to, even more. You know what I mean? Because it's really their life that's on the line. Of course you're gonna be affected, but you're gonna be affected as a person from the outside looking in. You know what I mean? And either way it hurts, but you're gonna be hurt more when you losing more of yourself and a person is not willing to do more for their own self. You know what I mean? Like I've watched it and I've tried to help. You know what I mean? I've been in a position where I've tried to help and try to, make them see their ways. But you know what I mean? At the end of the day, they had to really want to do it for themselves. And thank God, you know what I'm saying? They actually took that time and did it for themselves, and now they better than ever back on their feet and doing what they supposed to do as a person. But you can't want that more than they want that. You know what I mean? Like, and if you do, you can't push yourself like I'm gonna make them better. You know what I'm saying? Like that person has to have it in their mindset that I know I'm gonna go through these trials and tribulations to get myself better, but I have to get myself better. You know what I'm saying? For myself and for everybody around me. You know what I mean? And if you're not willing to do that, you can't put other people in a position where they losing out because you don't want to be better. You know what I mean? Like people lose out on money, you know what I'm saying, on trust, on love. You know what I mean? A lot of shit goes out the window. And when shit gets bad, after a while, a person look at you like, yo, man, I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with this person at all. When a person completely cuts you off, it ain't gonna matter if you doing good or not at the end of the day. They're gonna remember all that other shit. You know what I mean? And you gotta really like know how to separate yourself sometimes. Like, yo, I gotta love you and I gotta love you from a distance before this turns out bad. Because once it turns out bad, we're not gonna be able to get back to where we used to be. I mean, I'm gonna remember all the shit that I had to deal with consistently. And you could be on your greatest terms, but I'm not gonna feel like it's ever gonna change because as much as I tried for you, you wasn't, willing to make that happen. Now I'm losing out on this, I'm losing out on that. Time with with other people, my kids, whatever the case may be, I'm losing out trying to help you, and you not worried about none of that extra shit.
Right.
Like it just can put a person in a position where they only thinking about themselves and in a more negative way than you want them to. But you got to be able to know the difference and be able to let go at sometimes.
Yeah, man. It can be rough. It can be rough trying to be there for someone with an addiction. Um, but yeah, and it can affect you just as much as it's crazy because sometimes you get to the point where, and I'm not saying that I've felt this way, but I've seen it where you like, yo, if they do, if they do bring their demise on themselves, it's like, man, at least you ain't in pain no more. Because a lot of times that addiction comes from somewhere, and we're not psychiatrists, even though we're dressed like psychiatrists
in the corner.
down there, but it comes from somewhere, and a lot of times you'll never know where that comes from. You'll never know. So it's a pain that they're keeping with them, that they take with them pretty much everywhere, and they're trying to bury that shit. Hey, I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna drink all day because the better I feel better when I'm drunk. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do anything out of the ordinary. I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Or hey, I get high because when I get high, I'm on a whole nother level. Nothing bad is happening when I'm high. Nothing bad. And
Nah,
it's like you don't know what they feel. And my point being is when they get to that point where when they're done and when they, meet their demise, you say at least they don't have to walk around with that pain anymore.
Yeah, you're right. They don't gotta, they gone. It's a fucked up thing to say. It's a fucked up way to think about the shit, but that's
It's
reality.
reality.
it's
That's
reality,
reality. Some
yo.
fuck times.
It's
It's
reality.
reality. I mean, like I said, for all the people who made it out of this situation, who seen the light before they end, before they end, I congratulate y'all, man, because some people was like, 10 years, 10 years sober, 20 years sober, whatever. They don't fuck with this shit no more, man. I congratulate the people because I'm pretty sure that shit haunts them every single day.
Every day.
Look at your comments.
Every day.
Shit, yeah, I deal with it every day, and to the people who are still in it, like I'm hoping that you got somebody there that can help y'all out of y'all situation, man. Seek help if you can. If somebody's trying to give you a helping hand and you out there, take it. And the motherfuckers that's just about to get in, y'all young kids nowadays popping these perks. I know y'all want to listen. Y'all call us old motherfuckers. Y'all know what we talking about. But like, listen, telling y'all right now, don't be the next person that you laughing at. Or you ride past that homeless nigga that's getting high all night. That's gonna be you. You know how many, like, I work in Camden, I work in Philly. You know how many people I ride down what the fuck, Kensington. Oh my gosh.
Now that's a graveyard, homeboy. They don't even know it.
Bro,
That's a graveyard.
I rode down there. You know how many young motherfuckers I seen just nodding. I mean nodding. I'm like, yo, this nigga is fucking look like he only like 12 or 13. Yo, my
That's crazy,
real
bro.
talk. My niece, she was talking to some boy. He was getting high on dope since he was 13.
Mm.
At 17, he was in the streets. I mean, looking sick. I'm
I
like,
don't know
yo,
about anybody else, but me growing up and watching what it did to other people immediately made me be like, nope, I don't want to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to look like that. I can only imagine what they feel like. That doesn't look like you're feeling good. You can't, there's no way that you can tell me that you nodding off and passing out and you fucking doing the damn limbo as you walk down the street. That you, I mean, I don't visualize that as me feeling good. You know what I'm saying? That's
nah,
me losing control of myself. And I ain't never want to feel like that or look like that. You know what I'm saying? I used to look them motherfuckers crazy.
Them niggas that they young bull, and I mean young bull on the shit. Like I'm like, yo, how's this little nigga getting high off of dope? Like she was like, I don't know, so you need to cut that nigga off because I don't want you to be fucking around with him. He be like, yo, this is something cool to do. I'm like, nah, just leave that nigga alone. Like where's mom and dad? Oh, they don't deal with him no more. I'm like,
I mean, there's different aspects of like I said, it's different aspects of why people do it. I never wanted to look or feel that way. You know what I'm saying? But talking to certain people, like I could understand why people do some of the things they do. I wouldn't say it's right. You know what I mean? I can just understand, and it's fucked up, and it'd be like, yeah, man. Sometimes you gotta find a different way. You know what I mean? People got different coping mechanisms, and I'm pretty sure if it was never introduced to a person, they wouldn't know of it to use as a coping mechanism. But it was brought into a person's life some way, more than likely by force. You know what I'm saying? Somebody showed it to them, or peer pressured them, or whatever the case may be. I can't imagine somebody just waking up one morning and they're like, you know what? I want to do the. I haven't ever tried this, but I just want to do some crack. Seeing what's going on.
nah, niggas, yo, man, you be surprised. Like X, when we talk about X was how he got introduced to crack. He was tricked in that shit. You know, people do foul fucked up shit. Like niggas and say,
Mm-hmm.
yo, you just smoked a blunt laced with a little bit of heroin in that shit. And you like, what? Now you try to smoke a regular blunt, you can't get that high, you can't get that feeling no more. And so you go chase, you go get the heroin. Like, all right, let me do the heroin by itself. Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting high, of course
You getting high, you don't
you
know
you
what it is
chase,
again.
you'll chase. I mean,
You'll
I've
chase
seen you'll
whatever
chase, but
gave
I
you that
mean, I'm saying a
experience.
person who never just decided, never tried. You know what I mean? Me as a person who smokes weed and only really, I mean, I've done a couple things like mushrooms and shit before, but nothing that's never been, you know what I mean? Like I've never done anything past
I,
weed or
s-
mushrooms.
I
You know what I'm
seen
saying? I've
niggas,
only done Percocets when the doctor told me, "Oh yeah, you're fucked up. You need to take this
bro.
pain meds." And even then,
Sniff.
I feel terrible on
I
Percocets.
seen niggas sniff
So
coke or do coke as their girlfriend.
yeah, but what I'm saying is I can't. Me as a person who smokes weed, I don't see myself waking up like, you know what? I smoke weed and I'm feeling good. You know what? Let me try some crack. See if it feel the same
Oh,
way. No, that's not. That doesn't cross my mind. You know what I'm saying?
oh,
Because there ain't nothing. I've already seen from a childhood to growing up. I seen what it does to people. You know what I mean? The characteristics that they bring. So it's like, nah, man, that's not where I'm at with
but
it.
that's the
But
thing. Niggas seen that crack era, and niggas is
some
popping
that's what
perks,
I'm
right?
saying. But even
Niggas
then,
popping.
some people that I grew up with seen that crack era and seen it happen to people and still did the same thing. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah, I know.
you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I said, everybody has a different environment, even with their mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like you never know a person's inner demons to make them want to go that route. You know what I mean? And the
Correct.
things you have to deal with that come along with that. You know what I mean? And shit's heartbreaking on both ends because at the end of the day, you never really win in that situation. Even when they come, even if they get back to normal, the time that was
You know.
lost, the energy that was lost, you know what I'm saying? The love that was put on the strain, the trust, all of that shit balled up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a L in itself. You having to rebuild a relationship all over again. You know what I'm saying? Like you've
Yeah.
already taken that L. Whether it's a lesson or a loss, you've taken that both. But it's a lot of pain and a lot of animosity that builds up between that. And you know what I mean, them inner demons, man, they fuck with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, they make it hard for you to come back.
Yeah.
So
And I think as we wrap that up, I think the main thing is you just gotta be You got to be there for your people. You know what I'm saying? And offer a helping hand when you can, but also know when to back up and say, you know what, you got this. I'm gonna just give you your space, and it's up to you to want to get better.
Yeah.
But I want to close just by asking both of y'all, what's your favorite DMX verse or moment of all time?
My favorite DMX verse. Yeah, Kev, you can go first.
Can't see. Damn.
Dre,
Dre done.
wait till we get on and
Dre
shit.
put us on.
Dre
Put
in
us
here
on.
drinking with us. That's what it is.
Oh man,
I'm not.
Favorite DMX verse was
Or a moment. It's up to you guys.
when it rains, niggas get wet, stay dry. Don't cross me, I can peep it. Oh, wait.
I could peep the snake eye.
Snake eyes. Just lost me. Hit the shadow with the dark. What do you say? Hit you with the cannon, you see the shot, you see the light from the spark. Ah, see, I can't remember. I'm fucking it up. I was like,
You got
that-
your phone.
I got my phone.
He said you got your phone.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to think of that shit. Let me look at that. But that's from the joint. Used to be my dog. He was in my left tip.
Mhm.
Ride or die. Thought you would die with me. Found out you would
Yeah,
beat you.
yeah,
Leave a
yeah,
fly with
yeah, 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 yeah.
Boy, you can
I'm with
even,
you.
That was right. Niggas could right. Stay dry. Don't cross me. I could peep a snake guy. Just lost me. Hit the shadow in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around. See the light, but that's the shadow. Ah, from the spark. I can't remember that shit. That was from what was that song called, man? What was that shit called? That was from that's from the Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood album. I'm trying to think what the track was called though. I'm looking at it right now because I had to look at it. It's not slipping. It's we don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. That was a diss to Ja Rule. Dre over here singing the shit. That was a diss. That was a diss to Ja Rule. If anybody know that,
He said it was a diss to Ja Rule.
it was a diss to Ja Rule. That whole song was a diss to Ja Rule.
The one that which one called commented on earlier,
yeah,
right?
it used to be my dog. He was in my left titty. Screen rider, die.
Thought you would die with me.
Yeah.
That was my shit.
When it rains, niggas get wet, stay dry. Don't cross me. I could peep the snake eye. You just lost me. Like the shadow in the dark. Fucked around, forced me to hit you from the shadow with the spark. Blew your shit apart. Now you two halves of one nigga. Look at you.
Dumb nigga.
Dumb nigga. Stupid as stupid does, cocksucker. Ain't round.
Get you shot, sucker.
Sucker. Yeah, but that was a diss to Ja Rule. A lot of niggas don't peep that. That was a diss because remember when Ja came out,
he started trying to sound like
he did try to sound like
DMX. Checked him on that shit though, didn't he?
Yeah, but you remember when Ja, can I get a whoop? Can I get a fuck you? I'm like, who is this little? This nigga got the bandana tied up like X. He got the shirt off.
Yeah, it was a little derivative.
Like the nigga voice is raspy like X. He ain't growling this shit, but that nigga's trying to be dead. And that's when the era when all niggas couldn't bite. Like how all these niggas using that same drill beat. Like any niggas trying to sound like Pop Smoke. Like this shit is cool. Back then you couldn't do that. You couldn't pull that shit off. Niggas would be like, nah, dog, fuck out of here. This fake ass, biting ass nigga. Like, you will lose your whole career be ended. Ja Rule survived. That could have been a career ending move for him.
Mm-hmm.
It could have. Like, niggas were like, I didn't really want to fuck
they
with Ja Rule.
Though. Ja Rule got brought on by DMX. You know,
But they wasn't
so
friends.
yeah,
It wasn't friends after that. It wasn't friends after that. That was a diss.
D, check that nigga.
Go ahead. Where's your favorite joint?
My Dre know my shit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Get out of the dark.
Damn,
when the sun is down, run it, clown. Come up off that, or I'm gonna gun it down. Run it down. How it's gonna go? It's gonna be that. See that? Finish it, dog. Believe that. We at?
Do
you value your life as much as your possessions? Don't be a stupid nigga. Learn a lesson. I'm gonna get you either way, and it's better to give Let me get what's in your sock. It's better to give than receive. Believe what I
What I
say.
say? Wait. Can I rewind that?
Smell you.
That nigga said,
They're gonna come back on. This ain't a flick. You ain't gonna come back strong. You ain't that strong.
strong.
Dude.
No, what's wrong?
That's what,
You's
baby.
a big nigga. Ski mask for baby.
Baby.
You's a big nigga. Ski mask boy.
Yeah.
What? Yo, I didn't peep what he said until you said that. I didn't mean to stop you, but I was like, when you said it, I caught on. He said, "Let me get what's in your sock, because it's better to give than receive. Believe what I say when I tell you.
Don't make me put you somewhere where nobody can smell you.
Because when the lights is out,
they don't come back on. This ain't a flick.
You won't come back on. You ain't that strong."
You know what I'm saying? Like, that nigga D was snapping. And that was, that was my shit. I felt that shit like, oh, okay. All right, D. So you talking to somebody specific too. They always talking to somebody specific in that shit. So
like I'm listening to my favorite verse now. I thought one other verse was my favorite verse, but I'm listening to the niggas done started something. And that was my favorite verse.
What? From what?
From niggas done started something. Don't come at me with no bullshit. Use caution, because when I wet shit, I dead shit like abortions. I'm not gonna sing the whole verse because I'm not gonna pretend like I know it right now. If I'm in the car and I'm bumping it, I'll say the whole thing. But what I originally was going to go to was the on the first Rough Riders compilation album. Shit, what the fuck was the song called? I was just listening to it. But it's Rough Riders, pretty much. The song is like Rough Riders with Eve, Kiss, all them like Chic, all them niggas on there, Drag On. Like I thought it was the last verse, but it was like, nah, that was my shit. But the verse on Niggas Done Started Something is probably my favorite X verse of all time. And that ain't even fair because he has other verses that when I hear them, then I go crazy and say them from start to finish and like, no, this is my favorite verse. And I think the lesson is we don't have a favorite verse.
We don't.
It's hard to pick them.
I'm just thinking about one X.
1, 2, X is coming for you. 3, 4, better lock in the door. 6, get your crucifix.
7, 8, don't stay up late.
Yes.
That was my shit.
It was everybody's shit. And that's the beauty of that man's career for all of us, especially our age, is that, yo, if he come out with anything, I'm going to listen, especially nowadays. Like I was going to listen regardless. But that shit from back in the day will never get old, will always get played. And I want to say one last thing is that a lot of people, especially on the Facebook community, say y'all niggas wasn't playing, not us, but y'all niggas wasn't playing X before all this shit, man. Y'all need to stop giving niggas flowers. But we were talking about X and a bunch of times on this podcast before all this shit, because that was our nigga. Exactly. That was our lineage right there. Rough Riders, Rockefeller.
I was bumping X before he died. I just couldn't find nothing to listen to in my truck. I was like, I'm not. You know what? Let me just go to something that I know I can just,
essentials for sure.
I need the time. I just need to pass the time. I got to bump this.
Right. Like, and you groove.
That shit. Damn.
You groove, bro. And you groove to someone talking about murdering people. Let me just I don't want to keep harping on this shit, right?
He was killing it.
What was that song? Was it Party Up? When you party into this, y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here. Listen to the song, everyone. He's talking about murdering people. Not partying up.
He lose his mind up in here.
He's not talking about partying up. He's talking about murdering people.
Hey, Susie, I like the beat.
Fucking with D.
I'm gonna lose my mind up in
the tree. Like
kill shit.
I'm a dog looking fun. Look it up. What's that?
Your worst nightmare, because I take it right there. Got niggas coming? Where they at?
Right there.
Right there. Floating away. Dog. Like I said, any verse, that was a different song.
That was a joint with Chic. That's a different song.
I don't give a fuck about y'all niggas, because y'all ain't killing nothing.
Because y'all ain't killing nothing.
That's That was a
What?
party joint. That shit was getting played on the radio. I don't care.
Oh, it's
bro.
crazy. About y'all. Come on, man. So I just want to say rest in peace to DMX, man. And like, got some fans that will never stop playing your music, always been playing your music. And yeah, we love them, man. We love them.
And to the
remember,
people,
before you go.
and to the people out there battling addiction, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know somebody battling addiction, they going through something, man. Try your best to help them if they, if you can. If, like I said, but hopefully they come around and get away from it. That's all.
Yeah, pray for all of those who have these inner demons and have to go through what they go through. You know what I'm saying? We hope that everybody can come out on the other side, blessed and less stressed. So, thanks
Word.
again for checking us out.
We are.
Hey, Dre.
Go ahead, Dre. You know how to take
You're
us
not
out.
here, so we'd be ready. Ready. We looked to the left. I looked to the left. Kev looked to the right. At you. We like, oh,
No one's there.
Dre's on remote right now. Dre's not here today with us, but he's taking care of some personal business. That's why we.
Yeah. So say your prayers for Dre and the family. You know what I'm saying? Show some love. You taking care of household as you should.
Appreciate it. But
appreciate the fact he was remote.
Of course, man. I'm my niggas, man. I gotta give it to. This is an important topic. We gotta tell the people and talk about it. But once again, we were the Opinionated Podcast, your favorite sex, love, and relationship podcast. And we were your hosts.
I'm Cool Kev.
I'm Dash.
And I'm Big Dre. Y'all be safe, everybody.
Peace.
And when the sun is up, the gun is up.